I was in the Middle East back in about 2001, I mentioned that I was in the Army. I was deployed and I arrived in Kuwait, and it was the afternoon, and we drove to our camp several hours. And we got there and we went to sleep because this was a really, really long trip. And we slept all that night and all the next day. And finally, the next day, our commander of the unit, he came into the room, and the tent, and he gathered us around in a circle, and he said, look guys, we're new on the camp, and what I understand about that is that we have to provide a couple of guards for this evening's guard duty. And you know, I thought I was really smart during this time, really smart, and so I thought to myself, I'm gonna volunteer for this duty, absolutely, sign me up. Because what I knew was that it was gonna be 115 degrees the next day, and about 75 that night. So I thought, sign me up for night duty all day long. And the guy next to me, he was pretty smart too, so he raised his hand as well. And so we decided that we were gonna be the guards for that evening. And we arrived at the camp tent where they assigned our duty, and they said, all right, you're gonna be in Tower 18. And we have a couple of very simple rules for you to follow. Super, I can do this, no problem. He said, when you get up to your tower, you're gonna go up there and you're gonna guard your sector and just make sure that nothing goes wrong. I can handle this, 12-hour shift, just make sure nothing goes wrong. And then he says, under no circumstances should you fire your weapon. Do not fire your weapon. If something does go wrong or you're concerned, call the roving guard and they'll come to help you. So we went out that night and we climbed up into Tower 18 and we watched our sector for about 5 or 6 hours. This was roughly a 12-hour shift. We were pretty deep into it. And all of a sudden, in the distance, I heard this light metallic noise. This light like clinking, clink, clink, clink. And my mind, it got to working and I started to think, I thought, there's nothing natural that makes a metallic noise. It's not a mouse, it's not whatever other desert creature, they don't have metal. And so I thought to myself, oh my gosh, if that's the case, then it must be man-made. And if it's man-made, it must be enemy. There are enemy personnel out there. And I started to panic. Oh my goodness, enemy personnel, this is my first night here. I have my weapon, I have my ammo, but I'm not prepared for this war right now. I'm not prepared to engage. What in the world? Why did I sign up for this? And not only was it enemy personnel, it was a squad. And I decided, well, I'll see what my buddy has to say about it. Surely he's got more confidence in this. And I turn to him and I look at him and he's just got saucers for eyes. And I'm like, you are no help at all. He's completely panicked, just like me. We have no idea what to do in this situation, and in fact, it's not a squad. This is probably a platoon of enemy personnel, and they are coming to get us right now and everybody else at this camp. And so I'm thinking, my mind is racing and racing, and I thought, I know what to do. They told us if anything happens, we should just call the roving guard and they'll come to help. And so I turned to my buddy, and he's fumbling with his radio, and he grabs it, and I said, call the roving guard. And he gets it up, and he says, roving guard, there's something happening. This is Tower 18. We have a problem and we need your help. Clear as day, the roving guard comes across the radio and they say, Tower 18, under no circumstances should you fire your weapon. What? Not fire her weapon? You must be out of your mind. There's not an enemy personnel or a squad. It is a platoon. Goodness, it is a battalion of enemy that is going to come across this line, and I'm going to have to do something about it. I am ready to fire. And right in that moment, my finger was right on the trigger. Right in that moment, the roving guard squeals up in the Humvee, and he's got lights all over the top of this vehicle, and he flips them on, and what do you think was there? A herd of camels. My battalion of enemy personnel that I was so close to engaging with was a herd of camels. You see, the shepherds over there, they put bells on their camels so that they can hear where they're at. I learned 2 very important lessons that night. The first one is that it's a really good thing that I didn't wax those camels, because not only do you pay for the camel that you kill, You pay for generations of camels too, and I'm pretty sure the US military wouldn't have been very appreciative of that. The second thing that I learned that evening is that most fear is manufactured. All of that fear I had just made up in my mind. And the real situation was that none of that existed. So when you're dealing with these types of fear, remember that these are not things that will absolutely happen. They're things that you are imagining could happen. And oftentimes, they're not even real.